So this morning, after our yoga session, we friends got up with a little bit of a discussion over tea. It is about mind over matter, the fancy stuff that's all over the internet and everywhere in the world. Mindfulness, mind management. That is my own. I told them that you have to blame your situations at times. The entire world teaches you all the philosophy literature out there about self-help. They all talk about not blaming the situations, taking the blame on you. You're 100% responsible for that. It all sounds good, but if you practically look into it, okay, where will you begin? I mean, what they're saying is not untrue. It's 100% true, but it's at the PhD level. Unless we hit that level, if we are in bachelor's or school, in terms of learning about life lessons, to listen to doctorate candidates and try to understand that isn't a good idea, isn't it? In any topic that you take, and life is a pretty complex topic, isn't it? So, simple example is that the weather is fantastic today. It's getting hotter, and as the heat increases, as the summer peaks, it becomes very restless. Deep in the history, in the what do you call that, where the Greeks used to have the entertainment, gladiator types of entertainment, one of those Cavallusi or something like that. One of the documentaries from I think National Geographic or something. So, one portion of that, because a lot of people sit there. One portion there used to be restless, they say, and fights would take place among the audience that's sitting there, and usually they're noisy and not cooperative. So when they studied at the time why it happens, they came to know that it is because it was sunny. It wasn't covered well, and sun was directly on their face for hours. They have to sit and watch the sports and all that. That's the cause of the restlessness. What I'm trying to say is, it's not that we cannot adapt. Human body is definitely adaptable, but you cannot, if a person who lives in the icy weather or mountains, you bring him to scorchy sun beach kind of a weather, it takes a long time for them to adjust, and obviously they're going to get irritated, and it's not going to yield good results as such. So I'm born and raised in a tropical environment, and if someone takes me to a cold, icy, country to live, yes, I will adapt, and I will go through. A lot of people have done, but then it is subjective whether I'm going to enjoy as much as I did the original weather that suited me. What they also learned from Colosseum, I corrected my pronunciation, is that situations matter. Now here we need to focus on one thing. That I'm not saying blame the situation and let it be, and then let it take a negative connotation or something like that. I'm saying we have to put it on the situation so that it moves us towards a solution. This is important, isn't it? If we don't blame the situation, for example, there's some pain in your stomach or some part of the body, and you neglect saying, no, this is not the pain, I can get over, all the positive theory for wrong reason, it's not going to work. It's going to get worse, isn't it? You have to blame it on that situation, that yes, you are sick and it is aching and you need to see. Only then you'll be able to see the medical help, isn't it? For most part of my life, I've lived like a nomad, and I have lived at many places. Many places are very noisy and uncomfortable in terms of my suitability. At the time, I had to blame on the situation. I couldn't say that the dogs barking around in that in one particular area where I lived is okay. Like there are millions of people who are sleeping well, not minding that. Doesn't mean that I cannot mind it. It disturbs me, and then I have to. It forced me eventually to do something about it, to go around and tell the owners of the dog, or do something about the municipal corporation, inform that the dogs need to be moved from that location to a safer location. And one point in time, I shared an apartment with people who were very dirty. I mean, I cleaned myself a few times just to show them that this is how it should be, but they didn't give a damn. They kept, their way, their style, the way they are. And finally, I had to convince myself. I had to blame it on the situation that this is not suitable for me, and so I could move on. I could go and find another solution. And if we don't blame the situation, if we force this positive theory onto everything, saying it's okay for them to be dirty, everybody's living like that, and why do I have to complain? Why do I have to be whiny about it? You've got to be whiny about it. You've got to complain. Only then you get the energy or motivation to move from there and do something about it, or find another solution, or go somewhere else. It can apply to a society that is not comfortable. It can apply to a group, or a religion, or anything that we have subscribed voluntarily. Once we see what is the problem, in terms of our suitability, and once we're guilt free about blaming this, then only we are able to move on from there, move away from there, do something about it, isn't it? If we just go on accepting the philosophy that, okay, there are thousands of people living like that, when that doesn't bother them, why would it bother you? People say that, right? When you speak to friends, and when you speak to people around, this is what they say. You just learn to ignore. You cannot learn to ignore most of the times, and that's gonna just cause some loss for you. So it's better to put it on the situation that this is not okay by my standards or my suitability, and I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna take another decision. That is the motivation. That is why be guilt-free in blaming the situation in a way that motivates you to do something about it. That's the whole point.